Sawbones. We only get one shot at making a good first impression on Dr. Hausen, so I want to see everyone on their best behaviour. And that means no rambling tirades, no sulking, no body stories, and no drugs.
Oi!
We're going to have a lovely tea party. We're going to get lots of funding for our hospital, yes. Or
we're not.
Or I'm going to become very difficult to deal with from now on.
There's not much difference then, eh?
Just how long have you had this anxiety about new people, Vera?
Oh, let's leave the random diagnoses for after tea, Dr. Heroin.
Classic avoidance.
I'm not avoiding anything.
Leading to things.
I'm not in denial.
And wild aggression. Have you ever thought of hydrotherapy? I think it would really help someone with your condition.
I'm not aggressive. Why would I be aggressive? I'm perfectly calm.
I see. Of course. Delusion.
Nurse Clara Form. Just do as you always do.
Yes, miss.
Finally, someone I can depend upon. Get rid of this. Dr. Hausen, please do come in. It's such an honor.
Miss Morphine, I presume?
Doctor, yes. Welcome to the Sawbones Society Hospital.
With all due respect, Miss Morphine, just because you have medical professionals in a building does not hospital make.
You'd be surprised. See?
I must.
Right this way. Everyone, this is Dr. Munchausen. He's considering becoming the patron of our lovely hospital. Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful.
Dr. Hausen, allow me to introduce my colleagues. This is Miss Abby Sinthe, apothecary.
Hello, love.
Mr. Edward Ether, surgeon.
Charmed, mate.
The lovely Nurse Clara Form. And our alienist, Dr. Alexandra Heroin.
My assistant isn't here at the moment, but she's thrilled you're considering funding the hospital. May I ask why?
Well, you see, when I came into my inheritance, I figured it'd be good to give back to the medical community.
I see. And why is that?
Well, you could say I have a commitment to seeing the furtherment of medical advancements.
Now, could this be due to the displaced guilt you feel over your own failures as a doctor?
One lump or two, Dr. Hausen.
I have not actually had any tea yet.
Well, don't bother, the pot's gone off. Abby, why don't you go make a new pot?
No.
Why not?
Don't feel like it.
So, Dr.
Hausen?
Hausen, alright, what's your record for sawing off a leg?
Mr. Ether.
Because I'm sitting on 36 seconds myself, but I'm determined to get it down to 28 by the end of the year.
I see.
See, it's all in the saw, you see. You got 24 teeth per inch, which is much less painful for the saw, but 16, that's where you get the speed.
Mr. Ether.
And I will tell you this for free. You can get through the bone pretty quickly if you get yourself the big pair of edge clippers.
Edward!
What, Vera?
I just remembered the answer to a very interesting question that you asked me yesterday about venereal disease. Could I see you in the other room really quickly? Won't take but a moment, Dr. Hausen.
Look, if this is about the rash, I told
In
you!
the other room! One moment.
Classic cases of male and female hysteria. Personally, I think she's suppressing her manic rage by living vicariously through the violence inherent in this profession. It allows her to project a composed facade, which really is one of the main contributors to her superiority complex.
Try the sugar.
No, thank you. The use of sugar reflects a person in need of sweetening.
So by that logic, you should only associate with people who add bourbon to their tea.
Well, no.
So sorry, Dr. Hausen! You were saying...
I wasn't.
Why not?
I hadn't had the chance yet, I suppose.
Yes, you're right. Please go on.
Well, as I said, I am committed to the furtherment of medical advancements.
From the displaced guilt, yes.
Well, no, I believe that any hospital I sponsor should be committed to being on the forefront of medical advancement.
Yes, and on that point, I completely agree with you, Dr. Hausen. The Sawbones Society is 100% dedicated to the innovation of modern medicine. In fact, our own Nurse Clara Form is a world expert on exploding face disease.
What?
You know, exploding face disease, it's a tragic, barely understood disease. One moment you're perfectly fine, and the next, your entire face explodes. We can't figure out what the common factor is. Patients have presented with everything from measles to appendicitis. Poor Nurse Clara Form's lost dozens, if not hundreds, of patients to it over her career, haven't you?
Tragic.
Oh, but she's such a love, aren't you?
I love my work.
She's very dedicated to the cause. The thing that I would like to convey to you, Dr. Hausen,
The thing about
is
exploding
that
face
you and I are
disease
perfectly aligned in our
is the
goals
bloody
in
messy
terms of the
place.
hospital that you wish to
I
fund,
mean,
and I think
bloody's one thing, but have you ever tried getting brains out of wallpaper?
that you and I
It will ruin your best trousers, I'll tell you
can
that.
work together.
And the stench! Don't get me started with that smell.
Would you shut up already?
And then there's the repressed.
So, are you and Miss Morphine sisters? You just look alike is all.
And so help me God, if that doesn't make you wish you were dead, I will do it backwards!
Like, what was that you were saying about the chipmunks? Drugs.
I'm not sure. I've already repressed it.
Okay. Oh, what does it even matter? We've already lost our funding. We're all going to have to go back to the usual work. Mail order drugs?
Correspondence therapy.
Prostitution.
Honestly, I should have stayed, Miss Morphine. Being an underqualified nurse seems so much easier in comparison to dealing with all of you.
Hello. Good day. Hello.
Dr. Hausen, I am so sorry
Miss
about...
Dr. Morphine, sorry.
Yes.
I do regret to inform you I must be going, but I'm going to be funding your medical establishment. Unfortunately, I do have to depart immediately.
I'm sorry, you're funding us.
Yes, I am. It's delightfully, in fact. But again, I do apologize. I must go.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure, but so much so wrong. But I do have to go. Apologies.
Well, can I ask why?
List is far too long to put into one specific thing. However, I'm going to write you a list and mail that to you. In fact, actually, I'm leaving right now to go and do that. So,
Can't
good day.
you stay for tea?
Oh, no. I must go. I must go right now, actually. Good day.
Bye, Dr. Hausen. That was odd. Did you say something to him? Edward.
What?
Edward, did he say we had money?
Oh, no, did he?
He's...
So you're funding us?
We have money.
We have money!
Oh my God!
Oh,
thank God!
so much ether for all of us.
We're not gonna die, Paul! Thank you, thank you, God! Thank you!
More ether for me!
Oh, thank you, God!
Does coughing keep you up at night? Is your constant sneezing alienating you from your friends and family? Are you running out of handkerchiefs to pull from your bosom? Fear not. Science has found the solution. Miss Abby Sinthe's Miracle Pills. Each easy-to-swallow tablet is loaded with opium and cocaine to stop coughing at its source. The brain. Say no to influenza. Say yes to Miss Abby Sinthe's Miracle Pills. Side effects may include coughing, sneezing, collapse of the sinuses, death. Miss Absinthe miracle pills are not responsible for any and all injuries sustained by its users. Do not take Miss Absinthe miracle pills if you are pregnant, expecting to get pregnant, know someone who is pregnant, have ever seen a pregnant lady in real life. Do not take Miss Absinthe miracle pills if you have already consulted a doctor. Ask your local quack if Miss Absinthe miracle pills are right for you.
And breathe in and out. Well, Mrs. Burton, that crackling in your lungs is finally gone. And there's been no more incidents of coughing up blood, isn't that nice?
Well, thank goodness. I was starting to get worried.
Yes, but there's no need for that. Consumption is very common. We're just going to have Nurse Clara Form take you through some discharge paper for our records. Now, I've also prescribed you a bottle of Miss Absinthe's miracle pills. You're to take them with breakfast and dinner for 2 weeks. Not that I think they'll really do anything. You want this?
I'm starting to get concerned.
Oh, don't be. I completely understand.
You do?
Yes, and we're going to visit you once a day to make sure that you haven't relapsed.
Doctor? Doctor?
Oh. Yes, I see what you mean. It is rather dusty, isn't it? Nurse Clara Form, when you're finished with this patient, could you give the room a good scrubbing?
It's gonna need it.
Yes, see her out, nurse. Don't tell me, let me guess. Exploding face disease. I swear it is the most frustrating disease. If only there was some kind of sign. Hi, my name is Sarah Pickard, and I play Dr. Vera Morphine on the Sawbones Society. So, morphine is a drug derived from opiates, from poppies, from opioids, which is why Dr. Vera Morphine's real name is Poppy Bright. Opioids are used as depressants, so it would have been used as a sleep agent in the 19th century, which is a little ironic for Dr. Morphine, as she's probably the least relaxed person on the show. So, Dr. Vera Morphine is the physician and the hospital directress of the Sawbones Society Hospital. She's in charge of all of them, and she recruited all of them. And initially, she spent about 6 years as Miss Morphine, being a very shady, not qualified nurse, and then decided she had been a nurse long enough and self-promoted herself and stole a degree and decided to start a hospital to give other malpracticing medics a chance. Today, we tend to think of a physician or doctor and a surgeon as being kind of the same thing, and this was not at all true in the 19th century. A 19th century physician was of a much higher social class and economic class than a surgeon. It was considered a gentleman's position, so you actually went to school to be a physician in a very academic sense, as opposed to a surgeon, which is more of a trade school. So a physician would go into medical school, they would spend their years there, and it was all theoretical. They would actually never see a patient until they started their practice after graduation, as opposed to a surgeon who would have been practicing throughout medical school until their graduation. And a physician would be known as doctor, whereas a surgeon would be known as Mr., which is the difference between Dr. Morphine and Mr. Ether. So a 19th century physician, a doctor, as they would have been known, as opposed to a surgeon, an apothecary, a nurse, was basically to cater to patients' actual illness as opposed to injury. A physician spent most of their time and made most of their money doing house calls for their wealthy clientele. So a physician would go into a person's house, go up and see their aunt, assess what was wrong with their medical knowledge, write a prescription, and basically nothing else. They were not qualified to mix medication. They were not qualified to remove limbs. They really were only writing prescriptions, giving inoculations, and maybe doing leeches or bloodletting. And because a physician is a gentleman's position and a surgeon is more down to earth, it was considered sort of improper for them to accept pay the way that a laborer would. Like, obviously they had to get paid, and so because it would be an insult to pay them outright as if they were a servant, what people used to do is the doctor would come up and see to their patient, And then the family would leave the money on the front hall and invite the doctor into dinner, like a member of the family. And then they would have dinner and they would pick it up very discreetly on their way out. We also tend to think of doctors as working in hospitals today. And while 19th century hospitals were staffed by doctors, hospitals were not for the wealthy, because the wealthy could afford to have the physician come to their home. So hospitals, like the hospital that the Sawbones Society runs, would have catered to the poorer clientele that couldn't afford a physician. And so because of that, doctors who worked in hospitals did not actually get paid to work there. In fact, most of the time they were not hired on the way that we think of a doctor today. They would have volunteered their time at a hospital, and usually only a couple hours a month, in order to gain experience that they would then take to their private practice. So since Vera is so concerned with making money, it's very weird that she's decided to running a hospital is the way to get it. Because if she were a proper doctor, which she very much is not, she would be donating her time instead of trying to make all of her money there. But maybe the practice will be good for her. So the Sawbones Society run what is known as a cottage hospital, which is a small rural hospital catering to a local community as opposed to a big city hospital. The benefits to that is that the physicians who work at these hospitals begin to know the community and their medical history, because you've been dealing with these people for, decades, and so you begin to know the ailments they've had in a way that before formal records was very valuable. So the benefits of going to a cottage hospital as opposed to a city hospital is that not only do cottage hospitals have your records in a way that a big city hospital would not, and so if you transferred, all of that knowledge would be gone, but because a cottage hospital is local, they also deal with more emergencies such as farming accidents, labor, things that, really serious illnesses, the sort of things that you can't afford to spend hours or days even in a cart heading to the hospital. And so we see a lot of that in the Sawbones, in that the types of people they're getting are, they have burns on their hands or they have leg injuries, and it's not sort of these life-threatening, slow-building illnesses like cholera. It's things that need direct medical attention right away. Cottage hospitals were also generally government funded or locally funded by the town, which is another sign that they are not very good at their hospital, because not only do they have a private patron, but they also charge their patients, which is a little sketchy of them.